we're at Long Island Brewery in Riverhead, New York, where Greg's going to show us how to brew a batch of beer. Let's go. All right, Greg, show us the process.
Let's go. Check it out. So when we make beer in this particular brewery, everything we do is what we call a 25 barrel batch, which is basically a 50 kegs, what you see, kind of what we call the keg party keg, a full-size keg, right? Everything starts here at our mill. So we'll take different bags of grain that come from Europe, Germany, Canada, the US, all different types of grain that we use. There's probably about 50 to 80 different types of grain that we use for our batches of beer. Basically, we'll take it starts here at the mill. We'll take our bag of grain, we'll dump it in, and we'll take the barley and cracks it in half. We'll send it right up here to our grist case. From the grist case, when we're ready to mill, we go right to our mash tun. Want to take a walk over there?
Yep, sure.
Let's check it out. So this is our mash tun. What will happen is our grain from the mill will come down, unload here. We'll mix it with hot water, stir it, steep it. We'll take those starches from the grains, convert it right into sugars. So we go from our mash tun. Once we've drained it, it pushes right over into our kettle. And that, I tell people, is like a big pot of sauce, right? We boil it, we put everything in there. It's just like Sunday sauce.
Hey Steve, you know about Sunday sauce, right?
Yeah, he's like a meatball lost in the sauce.
At that point, we add our hops, our flavors. If we're making a pumpkin ale, we're doing our pumpkin, our spices. But everything happens in that kettle. It's where all the magic occurs. We blend and we boil, and we make everything in that. Once we boil for about an hour, we're gonna take it, we're gonna pump it right out of this valve here. Yeah. It crash cools it. So we'll go from boiling and come out here at 68 degrees. So in our brewery here, we've got 11 different fermentation tanks, which means we can have 11 different beers brewing at one time. At that point, once it's done fermenting, it kind of looks like it does in your glass, it tastes like it does in your glass, but it is lacking a couple things. We got to take this beer from one tank and send it to another one. That's what we call a bright tank. Let's take a walk.
So we got milling, mash, kettle, fermenter. Now what?
So as I said, we end up in the bright tank here. The bright tank, this is our 1,200 gallon bright tank. We'll take this beer, we'll carbonate it up. Once at the right temperature, the right carbonation level, it's ready for us to package it. At that point, it's going to go into a can or a keg. So when we keg it directly off this tank. And then behind us here, we actually have our canning line. So it's a 3-head filler with labeling system. And this will run on a 12-ounce can about 50 cases per hour. Wow. About 45 cases per hour if we're doing 16-ounce cans. So depending on which package that we're doing, which product that we're doing, they do vary. But this is where it's all going to happen here from the canning. We take 2 people to operate this line, but again, we can punch out 45 to 50 cases per hour on this.
And it's constant, it's just flowing. From once you start,
Yep, yeah, once you start, we just keep rolling through it until the beer is empty and this tank is done. And at that point, everything gets put into our cold storage room until it gets picked up by our distributors.
Greg, a facility like this, how many kegs can you produce in 1 year? So
between kegs and cases, we could probably do about 10,000 kegs to 12,000 kegs per year, depending on the types of beer. You know, higher alcohol beers take a little bit longer, so the fermentation process can slow down a little bit. But yeah, about 10,000 kegs a year we can produce out of the facility as it is.
How's it going? Kevin Leonard. I'm the head brewer here at Long Ireland. Head brewer here for about 2.5 years now. Had about 3 years of experience before that. I was home brewing before I was doing that. That's what got me into this. It's an industry I love. It's a business that I love. I love this place. I love all the different varieties that we make. I do love all of the beers that I make. It's hard for me to pick a favorite. And over the years that I've been here, we've kind of tweaked a little bit, and I think every year it's gotten a little bit better.
Thank you so much for having us today.
Happy to have you guys here today.
Greg, I'm so excited. This is awesome for having us. And I want to ask you, how did you get started in the brewing business? I mean, where did it all begin? What motivated you, and how did you get here today?
I'll tell you, take a sip of that first beer.
This one right here?
Yep.
All right, what am I drinking today?
That's our Celtic Ale.
Celtic Ale?
Yep. So my partner Dan and I used to be workers together at our previous lives, previous jobs, and started homebrewing together. And over time, we just kind of made a lot of beer, drank a lot of beer.
Yeah.
Maybe some bad decisions in the mix there or whatever.
Haven't we all, brother? Haven't we all?
But we just loved the process. We loved making beer together, and we said, can we do this one day?
And we did it.
And we said, let's just go for it. So 2008, we wrote our business plan. 2009, the first beer that we made and sold was that Celtic Ale that you just drank.
Wow.
So we sold our first keg of that on March 1st, 2009.
2009?
Yep.
Wow.
We still make that beer today, and we make a ton of other beers behind that. But yeah, it was basically a hobby gone right or wrong, depending on how you look at it. It started in my garage as just two friends.
So home brewing, you and your friends just getting around, I guess, a small bucket of beer, a little brewing batch, a brewery.
Started on a kitchen stove.
No way.
Yeah, in Dan's house as a hobby, you know, and it was the night before Thanksgiving, and we drank more beer than we made.
Yeah, of course.
And my partner Dan is always like, how can we do this bigger, better, and faster?
Awesome.
And we threw some money together and started just making bigger batches at home. And then when you have too much beer, what do? You throw house parties.
Yeah, that's right.
You invite your buddies over, you start drinking. And then eventually we said, let's do this for a living. And we kind of put it all on the line and went for it.
So this started in 2009, basically from your house.
2003, we started brewing at home. We actually sold our first keg commercially in 2009.
What, 2009?
Yeah.
So wow, you have over a decade in this business.
Yeah.
And you survived.
Yeah.
In one of the hardest businesses there is.
You know what? It's a hard business, but it's a fun business.
It is, right? You meet great people.
Amazing.
You've been involved with so many events, charities, the whole 9 yards. I mean, you guys have been an inspiration to everyone. Now, what else do I have in this flight, out of curiosity?
So the next one you have is our Pilsner.
Okay.
We call it Polish Town Pilsner because our brewery is actually located in the historic area of Riverhead in Polish Town.
Okay.
They actually have their Polish festival this weekend, and we made that for their 40th anniversary as just
Oh, really?
Yeah, we made it just as an anniversary, kind of as paying respects to the neighborhood that our building is in.
Love it. Yeah, big into the community. You guys have always been that.
Yeah, we always try to do that as much as we can, and that beer just stuck. The customers loved it. And just kind of went with it. And it's a classic European-style Pilsner beer.
It's fantastic.
Crisp, easy to drink.
I love it. And then what's the next?
The next one you have is our Beach Please, we call it.
Oh, I love this. I had this at tap in my house.
That's our golden summer ale.
My wife's favorite.
Little touch of lemon to it, and that is just, that is a summertime crusher. We sell a lot of that beer. And
it's amazing.
It's refreshing.
Now, what am I tasting? Because I feel like the citrus in here.
A little touch of lemon to it that we
Little touch of lemon.
Yeah, so we use dry lemon peels during the brewing process.
Nice.
Got that Sunday sauce pot.
Yeah, Sunday sauce.
That's where the lemon peels go into
great.
it. Just gives that little touch to it. It's not overpowering, and it goes down easy.
I love that.
Thank you.
I love that. And what's the last one here?
Next one's a little bit different. We call that Death or Glory. And
what is it called?
Death or Glory.
Oh, okay. I like that name.
It's a sour beer, so it's tart. And it's a raspberry lemonade sour beer.
Nice.
And when we first made that beer, when you start young in the brewing business, you're cautious and you make smaller batches of things. And when we made that beer, we said, well, it's going to be death or glory. It's either going to come out great or it's going to come out terrible.
Oh yeah, this is
it's got a little sour twang to it.
Yeah, like Sour Patch Kid a little bit.
When you get that raspberry and that lemonade flavor to it.
Wow.
So that was the first sour we ever made, probably 6 years ago. And
awesome.
Called it Death or Glory.
I love it. I love it. So now how many beers do you guys brew? Like how many different styles of beer, I should say?
So over the course of the year, it's probably about 30 different styles of beer. We have certain ones that are here year round. Then we have, of course, our seasonals, like our summer ale, the Beach Please. We've got our pumpkin ale. We do a winter ale.
Pumpkin ale's the best, huh?
You know what? People love pumpkin ale.
Yeah, they do.
Especially on the North Fork of Long Island.
What's better? I mean, we're in the heart of all the wineries. You got the breweries. You got pumpkin ale. I mean, it's seasonal. It's beautiful. Now, what would you say is the most best-selling beer?
And honestly, it's still our Celtic Ale, the first beer that we ever made.
It really is.
It's such a classic. And
made with love.
And people grew up with it with us, you know what I mean? Like when we started out as new, they grew up with us with drinking that beer.
Yeah. Well, this is fantastic. Thank you so much for having us.